You join me 90 metres above the Thames, which probably isn't where you're expecting me to start a Transport for London podcast, but that's because I'm on the IFS Cloud cable car, and I'm looking down at that extraordinary, vast venue, the O2, or, as known when it opened over 25 years ago now, the Millennium Dome. So today I am taking you back in London time, here in Greenwich, the home of time, to that millennium moment, the year 2000, all that wonder and excitement of newness, and all the forgotten worries about the dreaded Y2K bug, of course. Well, it was also the last New Year's Eve before TfL was born, and that is where our story and journey begins. Welcome to a brand new, very special series of Mind the Gap, the official TfL podcast, and over the next 4 episodes, you and me are off on a tour of the last 25 years of London's history, and the first 25 years in the history of TfL. From up here, you get a grandstand view of this brand new London that's emerged in the last quarter century. You can see how 25 years has unfolded. Look down there, I can see the new City Hall. And just out the window, the Silvertown Tunnel. Right the way through, of course, the brand new buildings of Canary Wharf, Elizabeth Line stretching out over there, to the massive new development and communities that didn't exist in the year 2000. And my goodness, look, up here, on a cable car that no one even dreamed would exist 25 years ago. It's from up here you can just see how much the city has really changed, and if we're honest about it, a lot of that change has come from the transport system that supports it. So this isn't just the story of London, this is the story of TfL 25.
Please mind the gap.
Oh, that was a flight and a half, wasn't it? I thoroughly enjoyed that. Right, now we're down and back on terra firma, it's probably about time I actually introduce myself. Now, I'm Tim Dunn, a Londoner in love with my city, quite frankly, its transport and its history, and finding ways to tell its story. Now, up ahead is that magnificent beast. It is the great gleaming white Millennium Dome. I mean, look at it, still standing there, proud after 25 years. But now, of course, it's big screens flashing up. Concerts and stars are coming to play here. But of course, it was built to celebrate the ticking of the clock to 2000. But look, something else incredible was being constructed at that very moment in time. Transport for London also started in the year 2000. Yes, the organisation, of course, has got its roots way back beyond then. You and I know that, as London Transport and even before. But it was in the year 2000 that it became TfL, and crucially, for the very first time, the transport system became accountable to the mayor, and thus you and me, the electorate. So today I'm off on my way to meet the boss of TfL to find out more about the history, the legacy and the future of this vast organisation that really has shaped London in the last 25 years in the most phenomenal, incredible, wonderful and almost unexpected ways. We're meeting him at TfL HQ in the control centre room, which I'm told looks a little bit like the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, so I'm sold. But before that, I'm going to meet someone who used to work for TfL, and actually he used to work just up here, just outside the O2 itself, in one of these big buildings. There's actually secretly a TfL office. He's one of the most amazing, award-winning stand-up comedian who's played huge venues right across the country and beyond. He's also a regular on Celebrity Gogglebox. He went into the jungle on I'm a Celebrity, and he's part of the Taskmaster cast too. And if that wasn't enough, he's also been in EastEnders and Doctor Who, and some amazing theatre productions as well. Right, time to meet Babatunde Aléshé.
The next station is Greenwich. Exit here from the Emirates Airline and the O2.
Now I'm walking up the stairs to the rooftop terrace of this office where there is an absolutely spectacular view of the dome itself. The perfect place to interview Babatunde. First of all, I'm going to ask, because to be respectful about this, and I was kind of checking your name on social, right? It's Babatunde Aléshé, right?
Yes.
Just pronounced correctly.
Aléshé.
See, I tried to get that, because I'm rubbish. It's Wales or West Africa, like, wherever it is, I'm bad. But I was watching this the other day, and it said that you said, like, I can do it.
Yes.
You were singing I can do it.
That's exactly what Aléshé means. It means we can do it. That's what it means. Yeah. Well, my first name, Babatunde, that means the father has returned, and then Aléshé means we can do it. It's like a motto, and then this became our surname.
Well, you have returned, right? And we have made you return.
Yes.
And we thought, what do you got from the hottest talents on the world stage right now? Let's bring him back to the O2. No, let's bring him back to his old office.
Yes, thank you for that.
TfL.
Yes, thank you. Dreams come true. You know what I'm saying?
Well, good vibes only here, of course.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
What were you doing here at TfL?
This is my old office, and a lot of memories, some good ones. I was a CCO, CSA actually, a customer service advisor.
Okay.
And I was the guy that was taking complaints from the customers, and offering refunds and offering my condolences for people missing their trains and their buses and,
So what does it feel like being up here on this lovely sunny morning next to your new world over here?
Yeah, it's nice. You know what? What's funny is that when I worked here, I used to look across, like when I worked in the green zone. For those who work here, know what I mean.
The green zone.
The green zone. Yeah. When I was there, I used to look out at the O2, and I used to proper dream, oh man, I'd love to perform there. And then we did it, like me, Mo, and a whole bunch of other comedians. That was a dream come true.
We call it the contact centre, don't we?
Yeah.
But actually, it's actually a place people come to generally. I'm guessing not many calls are like, hey, just calling up to say thanks for a great journey.
No,
today.
you would get that.
Really?
You would sometimes get that. Yeah, there
Really?
was a few customers that would call just for a chat. And I was just like, look, man, as much as I enjoy having a nice chat, bring on the complaints, man. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all you gear up for. You're just like, what's the problem? You know what I mean? Like, what's happening now? How can I, fix your life in some type of way?
But I mean, how do you let that kind of roll off your back, I suppose? Because it must be hard getting home every day, kind of going I've just had, 30 phone calls saying this was difficult. And that's a lot of stress to take on board, right?
It was.
And you have to deal with that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, but thank God for the people I was working with, because we had so much jokes. That's one thing I can say about working here, from the managers to just everybody. We were just funny. That's one thing I say about TfL. People were funny here, bro. We had jokes. Had a lot of jokes, man.
I mean, you probably obviously contributed towards this.
I got in trouble a lot because I was the one that was doing most of the disturbing. I was disturbing people.
I mean, you're a very relaxed guy.
Yeah.
You're a Londoner. You're from Tottenham, right? I was kind of home. So
I mean, I wouldn't associate Tottenham with being relaxed. Have you been Tottenham?
What's harder, difficult caller or a heckler in a crowd right now? I want to know this.
Oh no, difficult caller, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, because with a heckler, remember, I'm the comedian, I can say something back to them. You cannot do that on the phone when you're taking a complaint. You just cannot. If someone says something bad to you, you can't, give it as good as you get. You cannot do that. You will be fired on the spot.
You came to this though, having done work on the stage, didn't you, beforehand? Do you remember interviewing?
Yes.
Or your first day? What was the interview like?
Oh my
be honest.
God. I wasn't prepared. But I was just waffling. But somehow I ended up getting the job. But because I was so nervous. I've never had an interview other than auditions and stuff like that. But an interview for a job, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. Mate, I was a bag of nerves, man. It wasn't a good interview, but I reckon they just kind of saw potential in me because I was trying my hardest to give them, good answers. So I won them over in the end. So I'm forever grateful to this place, man.
And did Leonie, isn't it?
Yeah.
So did she push you into getting a job here, or was it your choice?
We both applied at the same time, and we both
really?
got the job here and got married whilst we were here. A lot of people that were working with us, they attended our marriage as well. And
that's lovely.
It was beautiful because everybody kind of saw us kind of transition from, you know, an engaged couple to then parents. And then obviously once we've left now and, you know, we're doing podcasts together. You know, it's lovely. You know? We're still good friends with a lot of people that we used to work with here. And that's one of the things I can say that TfL has given me in my life. Like some good friends, honestly, man. Some great people.
Were you doing like one shift here and then going into a shift afterwards, doing stand-up at the same time as well?
Yeah. When it got to like 3 years of being here, I started doing stand-up again. So yeah, there were days where I would finish a shift, take a train, go up to like Leeds or somewhere, just up and down the country. And yeah, I remember once I finished the shift, I quickly came home to change, and then I went all the way to Bath. I went to Bath, I did 5 minutes, right? It was a competition. I did 5 minutes, I didn't get through to the next round. So then I had to go home. But then the train, and it wasn't TfL, the train got cancelled. So now I'm stuck in Bath. So I had to go back to the comedy club, and then thank God, one of the comedians, he'd just come off stage, he was just like, I'm driving back to London. I was like, thank God. Drove me back, and he was just like, look, man, he drove me all the way back to my house in when we were living in Enfield.
Yeah.
And I had to wake up the next day, come to work.
Well, let's talk about London generally, right? So as you grew up there, I mean, London's changed a lot. I mean, we're standing here and we're looking out at this Millennium Dome where it all kicked off. Those 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And behind it is Canary Wharf, this sea of skyscrapers. And behind it, I mean, look, you're looking all the way up there to Stratford and to Tottenham beyond.
Yeah.
But London's changed a lot, hasn't it, in those 25 years?
It has, yeah, definitely, man. And it's changing for the better, to be fair. Like, it's one of the best cities, man. Like, especially summertime, man. It's a great place to be. I'm proud to be from London, man. From North London especially. So, yeah man. When I say it's changed for the better, I just think the infrastructure is really good. Like just the way you can travel from place to place.
Oh, you're on message. You are on message for TfL.
No, but it's the truth. Like the way you can, get about, that's really, really, I love that. There's no other city like this in the UK. Like you can get about so quickly.
Yeah.
Like you really don't need a car in this city. If you can just jump on a train, and 10 minutes you're wherever you need to be. Not every place, obviously, like, you know what I mean? But it's a great place, man. Great network of trains and buses and things like that.
I was trying to be clever, and I was looking up Tottenham last night. I was like, what buses roughly Tottenham?
The 41, the W4, the 230, 149. Oh, man, I could keep going, bro. 123. Trust me, man. I know those buses, man. Trust me.
Correct. I'm checking them all off my list. He's got them all correct. So this is a man who knows his buses.
Yeah, man.
But no, I mean, you know your stuff around London. But now you're on tour around the UK.
Yeah.
And beyond, I think, as well. So when did you start planning for this tour? How long ago?
Literally, as soon as I finished my last tour, Babahood, I spoke to my manager, and I was just like, I think I want to go on the road again. And we just started mapping it out. I named it High Expectations because it's my second tour, my second 1 hour show. And I just feel like the expectations now are just high for me. I've got to prove that I can stand on my own, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm no longer with Mo, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm doing my own thing, yeah.
Tell me, where is your tour going? Tell me you're coming to London. Tell me at least a few of your gigs are in
No, 100%. We are doing Hackney Empire in London, and that's October the 30th. So get your tickets. Make sure you get your tickets, you know what I'm saying? From my website, babatundealéshé.com. Come on. But we're going everywhere. We're literally every city, every small town we're visiting.
And of course, easy to get to by public transport.
110%. It is very easy to use the public transport to get there.
Babatunde, it's been an absolute delight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back, man.
Oh, thank you for coming back.
100%, man. Cheers.
And they call this work. That was a delight, wasn't it? Babatunde is one of those people who, when you meet him, you can't just help smile and laugh with him. One of the most important bits of that for me was the talk about the family of TfL and that feeling that even when you've left it, it's a job for life. And those networks, they still remain. And maybe that is what is at the heart of TfL. All those diverse roles from drivers to designers and engineers to project managers, all levels of the business, and every almost conceivable job. I mean, even AI and tech now, they're all part of the one same big thing with a common purpose. delivering it. Not to get too grand about it, as I know I can do at times, but there is that famous story about the chap who sweeps the floors at NASA back in the 60s. He was asked once what his job was, and he said, well, my job is I'm helping to send people to the moon. And that is the ethos that TfL has tried to build up over the last 25 years here across London, that everyone, every single person, contractor or staff, is working towards a common purpose of keeping the city, and that means you, and that means me, moving, growing and thriving. Now, as you can hear now, I've just jumped on the tube, something that actually TfL took over, not at the start of 2000 at all, but later on in its tenure. I'm heading off to another TfL office to meet the person at the very top. He's the very big cheese of this organisation, to get a bit more insight into the complexity and, frankly, sheer scale of the whole operation. I also ask him what it's like as a person to have responsibility and the life he now has. It's Andy Lord, TfL Commissioner, who answers directly to the Mayor of London. Andy, thank you so much for joining us here. To say where we are right now, this is the SCC, is that what, Secret Control Centre? What does that mean?
Well, not quite, Tim. Well, thank you for your time. It's great to be here celebrating TfL 25. We're here in our visitors gallery, our viewing gallery. Team here do an amazing job 24 hours a day, monitoring all of London's strategic road network. We manage and oversee one of the biggest bus operations in the world. And behind you is our control room that we use for major events, where we bring in partners from across London, all the emergency services, government departments, even the military, for everything from the fireworks on New Year's Eve, the London Marathon. And of course, this is also where we ran the operations for Her Majesty the Queen's funeral, and more happily, the coronation of the King and the Queen. So we do an awful lot in here. The team do an amazing job.
And it's busy behind us. I can see all these screens up around. I've also got a view above London. It's like an eye in the sky, isn't it? All these cameras across there. But this has also changed so much over the last 25 years at TfL, because a very different place then as we are now. And the responsibilities you have now as TfL had changed immensely, haven't we? Where were you 25 years ago? You weren't looking for TfL, were you?
No, I wasn't. I was at British Airways. I joined BA straight from school. I was very fortunate to be sponsored through university by them as an engineer.
What kind of engineering were you doing?
So aircraft engineering. I did a mechanical engineering degree in apprenticeship and worked on various aircraft types. My last engineering job was a design engineer for Concorde.
Wow.
So I was responsible for all the mechanical and fluid systems on the Concorde fleet, which is without doubt still one of my proudest, but actually one of the most stressful roles I've ever had. But 25 years ago, we were all preparing for the famous or infamous Y2K bug, worrying about planning for making changes for what was going to happen as the clock ticked over to midnight at the Millennium, and was everything going to shut down? And that's quite a big deal for an airline when you've got lots of airplanes in the sky at that moment in time.
I laugh. People were talking, they were saying planes might fall out of the sky and so on.
It was never going to happen.
Yeah. Are you in charge?
But I definitely wasn't in charge. So that's where I was. And 2000 is a big year for us. Our first child was born. I was having a great time at BA. And actually, I wasn't even probably aware that TfL had been created that year.
TfL now is so very different to what it was 25 years ago. It's involved in every part of the transport. But I mean, can you name all the different modes that you now look after?
Well, I should be able to, because I've got them all on the wall in our conference room upstairs. But I'm going to apologise in advance for anybody who I forget about. So, London Underground, London Overground, the DLR, London Trams, the Elizabeth Line, Streets team, so the TLRN, Santander Cycles, River Services who look after the Woolwich Ferry and the 8 piers that we're responsible for on the Thames, our taxi and private hire regulation and licensing team, our control centres who look after all the traffic lights and tunnels. We're responsible for all the traffic lights virtually within the M25.
I love
London.
that fact. I love that. You look after the traffic lights as well.
6,000 sets of them, and the London cable car. And London buses. How could I forget London buses? Which also includes Dial-A-Ride, which is our free assisted travel service. So I think and hope that I've got everyone. We truly are the only fully integrated transport authority in the UK. Depending what measure you use, we're the largest in the world. And so we have unique planning authorities and approvals as well. So we're responsible for city planning. And of course, we now have our own property company as well, responsible for building several thousand new homes and commercial spaces on what is or was TfL land. So it's the ability to bring everything together.
But you're now commissioner. What does that actually mean? What is the role of commissioner anyway?
Well, it's a very grand title, and often I explain to people there's 3 commissioners in London, the police and the fire and transport. And the other 2 who I get on very well with both have fancy uniforms with a lot of braid and medals.
Where are your medals and your big helmet?
We don't do any of that. But in effect, it means I'm group chief executive. So I'm ultimately responsible to the mayor, the TfL board, the London Assembly, for making sure that we run London's transport network as safely and efficiently and as reliably as possible. Of course, ultimately responsible for the business performance as well. We're a 10 billion cost base organisation. We have about £10 billion of income as well. So, it's our job to make sure that we're spending the taxpayers and the fare payers' money as efficiently and as effectively as possible, and getting value for money for what London and visitors to London rightly expect. I think it is a unique job in the role. I generally think I've got one of the best jobs in the world, but it's down to the many tens of thousands of people who work for this amazing organisation, both directly and indirectly, of the incredible things that we do. And nobody will believe this, but I've never had a career plan. I've never had an ambition to do anything other than, when I was a young boy, to be an airline pilot, and wholeheartedly failed at that. So I'd just be very fortunate to end up being in the right place at the right time, and truly honoured and privileged to hold the role.
But it's not TfL is, isn't it, really? It is the people. It's the staff and the contractors and those subcontractors that make up TfL. I know you're very proud and you're making it's a place you want to work, aren't you, as well?
Look, the people who work for us on our behalf make this organisation. It's not down to me. It is down to the incredible people, whether they're on the front line or working in support services, who are making remarkable things happen day in, day out. And London should be rightly proud of what they do and how they do it.
What have you brought in, do you think, from the airline industry and what you learned elsewhere? What have you brought in to think that's what I transpose to TfL?
Well, you probably should ask some of my team, but my own view is, I am absolutely relentless on safety. Rightly, everybody uses our services, expect them to be safe, and that is an absolute first priority for us. Always more we can do. I hope a real emphasis around customer and service. I don't think some of my colleagues would mind saying, actually, when I arrived in the tube, we were sometimes a bit more worried about where the trains were going to end up rather than where the customers were going to end up when we're in disruption and that sort of thing. So we put the customer at the heart of our decision making.
That's a very interesting way of thinking about it. I never thought of it like that.
So make sure we're offering customers choice. I really want to take that to the next level as we roll out 4G and 5G on the tube, for example. We need to get into a way of being much more proactive to message people and let them know if there's any issue and what their alternatives are. And I would also like to say, and I think people do recognise this, I am very people focused. I really want TfL to be a great place to work, and we're making some real progress on our journey to improve diversity and inclusion across the organisation, improve accessibility and adaptability for customers as well. So through our programs, Action on Inclusion and Equity in Motion, because it's back to the people again. And I love getting out and about. I hate being stuck in meetings. The best part of my job is being out and about, seeing colleagues and seeing how we can make their day better. And if their day is better, then I guarantee every customer that they come into contact will have a better experience as well. I'm so proud of what we do as an organisation. You can never, in this role, know everything, nor should you have the knowledge to do everything, because that's why we have so many amazing colleagues who do that on our behalf.
And so many specialists, and that's what I find intriguing. The breadth of this organisation of talent is genuinely unparalleled, isn't it?
Yeah, and another area, we have incredible people in the city planning department. You look at what we've done around the introduction of the ultra-low emission zone. However controversial it is for some people, the amount of work that went into that, the implementation of it, the analysis, the study has been remarkable. And then we have one of the biggest engineering teams in the country. We have about 1,600 specialist chartered engineers. I think I go out talking about it. I I don't think I'm far off it, so I won't be 100% right, but I basically say I think we have every engineering discipline that probably exists apart from nuclear. So, yeah, if you want to be an engineer and you want to get an experience, come to TfL.
Someone said to me the other night, you gave a speech at the LT Museum, and it came from the heart. What would you like to say about TfL 25?
Well, I just think it's a silver jubilee of what I think is the most wonderful transport organisation in the world. And yes, it's really, really important that we celebrate and mark the incredible things TfL has done. But actually, it's to celebrate and recognise the incredible people who not only work for us today, but have done over the last 25 years, and say thank you to them for what they have done for London, and to ask London to make sure they continue to support us as an organisation for the next 25 years and beyond.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Tim.
Please mind the gap.
That was pretty special, wasn't it? Being allowed into, I suppose the proper name for it is the Surface Control Centre, and meeting Andy, the big cheese, I suppose you could call him. Don't take this the wrong way, but he's one of those guys that doesn't really come across like a typical CEO or a typical boss, does he? He's so open and grounded, and he clearly has transport and public transport right at his heart, and he cares so much about the organisation and the people in it. In fact, just as we switched off the mics, he realised that he hadn't mentioned in that long list of modes the amazing people and work that goes on at Victoria Coach Station when he was listing all the different modes out and that TfL looks after. It's actually an incredible place, the Victoria Coach Station, a gateway to London for millions of people every year coming in and going out. So a very special shout out from all of us to them. Oh, here we go. One last stop to go on our journey today. I am back in my happy place to get there. This is the Jubilee Line extension back towards Stratford again, to the offices of TfL's corporate archives, because I wanted to get a little bit more insight into the basics here. What exactly is TfL anyway? And more importantly, how did it start and why? And there's no better person in my mind to speak to about this than Tamara Thornhill, the manager at the TfL Corporate Archives.
So I am the corporate archivist for Transport for London, and we are currently in the head office building in Stratford in a glass pod. Obviously.
It's a very attractive glass pod, though I have to say it is. I think you underplayed this slightly because it was surrounded by motifs and cutouts from the old Staff magazine. I can hear pictures of Earl's Court Station over there. I've got posters. I've got a picture of as a six-wheel route master or something. I can't tell. Drawings for ticket machines, maps, of course.
Yeah.
And so, what is your? So, how long have you been with the archives for?
It will be 15 years this year, which I would never have imagined.
Let's go back even further, 10 years before then, to just after the Millennium, I suppose, and TfL is created. What is the story leading up to the creation of TfL, before it gets created, up to 1999, 2000? What happens before then?
It's a really, unsurprisingly, really complicated, complex history. And, obviously this year we're talking about TfL being 25, which it absolutely is. As you say, it's a legal entity. It came into being in 2000. But realistically, we are actually just the latest incarnation of a public transport authority that dates back to 1933 with the formation of the London Passenger Transport Board. You can take it back even earlier than that if you really want to, because it was effectively a private company from 1902. And before that, each underground line, or railway as it was then called, was operating. It just operated in isolation. So it's a really long, complex history. But in 1933, the first public authority is given responsibility for running a transport network in London. And that means that obviously we're answerable to government. We have a reporting line up through government. Now, for reasons that are best known to history and the people who were around the table at the time, roughly every 15 years we have a name change and we have a change of reporting line. because, we don't want people to get bored, right? But it's still the same organisation. We get maybe a couple more responsibilities given to us. Occasionally, one or two get taken away. But everybody would recognise it. People work in the organisation, crossing those legal name changes and everything. And then we get to 1998, 1999. And there really is, that's when we see a fundamental change. So 1999, you get the Greater London Authority Act. It establishes the GLA, as we now have them.
The Greater London Authority.
Greater London Authority. It establishes Transport for London. It also, for the first time in centuries, establishes the office of the Mayor of London. And this is not a ceremonial office.
Not the City of London Mayor.
Exactly. No, he doesn't have, the Mayor of London doesn't have a huge procession down the streets once a year and a show for him and all, for them and all of that kind of thing. The Mayor of London is an office who is responsible for the GLA and responsible for Transport for London. What that does is, for the first time, it means that the organisation, rather than just being answerable to a government body or a particular person within government, we're taking our directions from them. So prior to that, the organisation is effectively creating its own policies, it's setting its own fares, it's doing, it's making its decisions itself. It reports on them, it's answerable to government. But the decision-making is left to itself. But now the directions come from the mayor, directly from the mayor. So that's a game changer. What you really start to see is the organisation, sort of as it is today, is at its core, yes, the same organisation, but it's also vastly different because of that one single change. We now have responsibilities for cycling and walking and all these things that a transport authority would not really traditionally consider part of their remit.
Now, the people, by voting for the mayor and his or her or their mandate, I suppose, it's down to the electorate, really, isn't it? So it's
It
very
is.
different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah. We're held much more, as you say, much more publicly accountable.
And what stuff do you have in the archives that springs to mind, perhaps, from those first few months of around middle of 2000, I suppose? Anything that jumps to mind?
The first few months, they were, unsurprisingly, because it is a corporation, there was a lot of fuss around, what's our vision? What do the first 6 months look like? And it was all financial. It was all, the corporate branding, which is also quite a big change. I think there's a tiny bit of a lost story with our branding, to be honest. Obviously the roundel is iconic, the Johnston font is iconic, the map is iconic, but what that roundel represents has perhaps never been as clear as it is now. And I think TfL has done so much to make that clear. If you look at corporate documentation from throughout our collections, if you listen to our oral histories, if you ask people who joined before 2000, we open with the question, which organisation did you join? They don't say the London Transport Board. They don't say London Regional Transport. They say, I joined London Underground, or I joined London Buses, or I joined London Transport Planning. And it's like, but you didn't. But that's how it was seen, and that's how the travelling public saw it as well. Oh, this is the Underground, this is the buses. Whereas now, yes, people talk about London Underground and they talk about the bus and the DLR, but they talk about them in terms of using them. They literally talk about them as a mode of transport. Yeah. If you ask that person, who is responsible for London Underground or who sets the fares, they are going to say TfL. And that has never happened before until this organisation came into being. I often say to people, kind of when, because I spend a lot of my time giving presentations to various people, and you always do a little bit of TfL context beforehand. And to get the scale of it across to them, I will often say, I challenge you to spend a day in London where you do not use a piece of infrastructure that has involved TfL. I don't think it's possible. I literally do not think it's possible, because it encompasses things that people don't even realise a TfL responsibility. Where electric vehicle charging stations are going to go. In a lot of instances, that decision has, even if it hasn't been made by TfL, it's been made with significant contribution from TfL. You're probably going to walk over a drain cover that's owned by TfL. You know, it's absolutely amazing how it just ingrained in this city we are. And I always think about movies, right? Movies or TV shows where they're doing multiple locations. When they switch the location to London, okay, sometimes they put London on the screen, but most of the time they don't. Most of the time they're informing visually the viewer that you're in London by showing a roundel or a red bus. You know, they are using this organisation to signify London. Our transport network has very much shaped what London looks like, and how far London spreads has very much come in response to a transport network. People are connected in ways that just didn't exist even 15 years ago, to be honest. I think people have more of a sense of investment in their transport network than they used to. Particularly if you kind of look through the archives collections, and it sounds as if I'm sort of, you know, I'm being a corporate messenger here, and I'm really not. But the one thing that really comes across is the idea of working with London and working with the people of London and the people who are going to use the transport network. It seems more of a collaborative effort now. I personally have been a bit sceptical about TfL 25 as, you know, a sort of a campaign and a public awareness campaign. And I was very much coming from the kind of the starting place of, is anybody really going to care? Does anybody care if a public body or a corporate organisation is 25 years old? But actually, you know, obviously I've become quite involved in the project and the messaging, and the more I'm doing around it and the more I'm kind of telling the story of TfL being 25, the more impressed I'm becoming, and the more of kind of a convert to the fact that we should be celebrating it I'm becoming. As I said, the organisation changed names every 15 years and changed reporting lines, and this one's been around for 25 years, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. I think TfL is here to stay for a very long time.
Oh, I couldn't have put that better myself. TfL is here to stay. And one of the reasons for that is that the people who have worked in this place have proven time and time again that having an integrated transport authority is what works best for London. It's what works best for its visitors, and it's what works best for those who support and supply and work with TfL right across the country. But it is so much more than the sum of its parts. It can make important and bold decisions and keep London moving because it is all one joined up thing. They describe it as London's strong green heartbeat, and I love that. I think it fits absolutely perfectly. Okay, that is it for episode 1. Time for a break, I feel. But do join us for the next episodes in the series, where we'll be talking about some of the events TfL has handled over the years, some of the incredible innovations it's brought forward, and, most importantly to my mind, we'll speak with some of the truly inspirational members of staff and people from outside of TfL too, including, incredibly, one of my favourite singers of all time. Stay tuned for a surprise, and in the meantime, mind the gap.